So 8th Avenue, on the left side of 8th Avenue, all the streets that go to the left, that's this left, not the other left, that left.
Yeah.
That is Hell's Kitchen. Now, if you were here like 25 years ago, you wouldn't be going into Hell's Kitchen. You know why? Because it would be very dangerous. There would be a lot of gangs that way and all kinds of trouble. That's why it's called Hell's Kitchen. So this is the moment. Gary, what's the moment?
Oh man, my
Tour
videos.
guide filler.
Oh.
Now we're gonna just keep going straight. So let me tell you something about Rockefeller Center, because I won't be with you when you go there, since we got a little traffic. It was all built by one guy, John D. Rockefeller Jr. You know why he did it? You're not gonna believe how it happened. Did you have a question? It's amazing because these trains are running day and night. And so let's say you are where we are right now, and let's say in 1900, and you had to go to the other side, you had to run across all those tracks. So how many people were dying on a regular basis? Yeah. By this time, 1900, New York City is the largest city in the world in terms of population already. So you can't have this because this is a real big problem. That's what those hitches are in the rear of a pickup truck, is to pull the ATMs out of the banks. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
By the way, we have a lot of stores here. By the way, just don't eat anywhere because there's a lot of bad food too. There's 35,000 restaurants. I've seen a few where you live. Are you ready for this?
So what
We are
happened
at
with you guys?
Grand Central. Is this where we come tomorrow? Get on the train?
No, this, oh wow.
Oh yeah, All right. No cursing. Let's just stay here for a second. If you want, at any time, I can take you and your family pictures with this in the background. Probably be up to here. From here. That's how big it is.
We are in the Chrysler building.
Take a look here, you can have the view of those gargoyles. And then when we leave, I want to tell you something amazing that happened here. But take a look at this lobby. This is a lobby that doesn't exist in most buildings. But this style of Art Deco is a very short time. It was mostly during the Great Depression. Hang on one quick second. See these elevator doors? There's 32 elevators, 64 doors. Every single door has 24 different types of inlaid exotic woods and inlaid to make the door. It's a fortune for each door. This is the kind of work that they would do back then. Take a look at the ceiling. A lot of this has to do with the time period. We used to have capitalism in America. I'm not going to teach this anymore in school. 40 million for it?
Oh my god.
What's the name?
Trump redid this
Hyatt.
or this hotel.
Wow, that's his first
Bought it
fortune.
for a dollar.
Right there. That's how he made it happen. It went like this to his father. Nanny, nanny, poo, poo. That's how he made his first fortune. And you know what that also did psychologically? Woke up everybody here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Like you buy water, gas.
Right.
You heat your buildings with this underground steamboats. You don't have to have a boiler in your building, or a hot water heater technically. So right over here, right where this it should be a big hole there. Yeah, right here on the left. Thank God it was in the middle of the night. One of the steam pipes exploded, and probably would have killed a bunch of people. Except it was like 4 in the morning or something. And so these buildings didn't get damaged that much, but there was asbestos all over the buildings. cameras that are
Yeah.
around it that caught it when it exploded. But it's an incredibly rare thing to happen. It was P.T. Barnum. Remember him?
I
He's
remember
the
the
guy's
name, yeah.
Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Yeah.
A Sucker is Born Every Minute.
Right.
He had all kinds of stuff. And he opened the first Madison Square Garden where that park is today. You just saw it back there in the Flatiron District. Of course, it was called the Flatiron District because of the Flatiron building going up eventually.
Look at the big slice pizza.
So look at the buildings though, because they're just, these are all about 120 years old, 125 years old. And why are they still here if all the department stores left many, many years ago, like 80 years ago they all left? It's because the city was smart and made it into a historic district, which saved the buildings from destruction. Because you can't build buildings like this anymore. The materials, the quality, the architecture. Anyway, there are window air conditioners in buildings that don't have central air back in the day. So, but central air came to New York almost first, practically. I mean, it was where it was most heavily used in the beginning. It was invented. So when we cross 14th Street right now, we're out of what's called Ladies Historic Shopping District. That's what that was. And now we enter the neighborhood that you probably know about or heard about. And it's called Greenwich Village. Have you heard of Greenwich Village?
I've read about it.
Greenwich Village, the name village may conjure up images of people with campfires and sitting in a village somewhere. 12 to 15,000 square feet, each one of them. Is your jaw hanging now?
I'm just trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah, that's why, because let's say they're 30 feet wide, roughly, but 80 feet deep. That means every floor, which is the house, every floor, 2,400 square feet. It's got 4 or 5 floors.
Wow.
Yeah, much bigger. I know you're not used to these kind of streets where you live, but these are very old buildings which contain literally probably 100 little tiny restaurants of every kind of ethnic food you can think of. I don't care, Egyptian, Indians, Vietnamese, whatever. And why are they all here? Because New York University college students want to eat well and cheap. So these places are dirt cheap but delicious. Every one of them, different kind of food. It's been here for 100 years. Not the stores necessarily, but the street like this. And bars, yes.
Lots of liquor?
Oh yeah, lots of liquor. That's what they're into.
Well,
in Russia.
liquor, I'm liquor.
Oh, no, straight. Sorry, I thought you said liquor. This is Bleecker Street. That's what he meant. We can't pronounce it.
Glinker? Yes,
Well,
get us some
liquor.
liquor.
By the way, you ever hear Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
He used to live right over here on the left, one of these, back in the day. This is a commune. Was a commune back in the day. Your kids probably don't know who Bob Dylan is.
I've
West
done some.
Village. It's used in a lot of films.
Yeah,
And
it
one
looks
of the
familiar.
reasons is that this is, if it's not raining, people are doing pickup games. You know what they are? You just show up and everybody bets on who's going to win, and there could be people who don't even know each other, and they're always playing basketball. It also belongs to a public school that's right around. We're making a left on Houston.
Can't really see it, but
I just want to make sure you know.
I don't have enough niche.
You don't? You look old enough.
Yeah.
there we go. Maybe you can see it now.
So, what is the name of this street, people? Look at the sign. It says Houston, but no, it's called Houston.
Houston?
Yeah, we don't call it Houston because we love to annoy Texans. It's part of what we do.
It's the name of the guy.
That's exactly right. It's the name of a guy named Mr. Houston, and that's how he pronounced it. It was spelled Houston. And it's south of Houston Street. That way is south, to the right. What is it called? Soho. South of Houston.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where Soho got its
Most
name
people
from.
don't know.
Okay, delete that from my video.
So in a minute, we're going to enter literally another world. It's going to completely change. It's going to be all cobblestone streets and really old buildings that are beautiful. One more block and then we make a right. It literally changes that rapidly in here. It's called Soho, south of Houston. Everything to the left, north, that way, is NoHo, north of Houston.
Oh, okay.
So what is Soho originally when it wasn't called Soho? This was, think about this, it's interesting things happened in this city. It was all planned. In other words, when they designed this grid system, it was an architect who designed it in 1811. And he wanted to make sure that he broke it up with something that it just wouldn't all be one kind of grid. Store uptown, Bloomingdale's on the left. They even are in a cast iron building. Let's pull over to the left right away. Stop.
Cool. Let's
Stop.
go.
Stop. I want you to see something here that's amazing. Pull back a little bit so they can see it. Gary?
Yeah.
Pull back, please. There's nobody behind you, right?
I want to go to Levi's
Pull
Street.
back.
What are you?
Well, that's
I
true.
want to go to Berta.
You better watch out because I'm behind you. Why would I be stopping and pulling back here? See, all these buildings are also cast iron. But this particular one, you might want to come over. Look up. It's one of those beautiful ones because this was Disney World. Think of that. This is a world that had horses and buggies and people crapping in the streets or whatever. But no one had ever seen an elevator before. And this was Otis's first safety elevator. And it's inside there in these old industrial buildings have become the most expensive part of all of New York City to live in. There are no houses in there, they're all apartments. But giant apartments. How big these apartments are very often. Somewhere between 4 and 15,000 square feet.
Oh my
An apartment.
goodness.
With a 15-foot high ceiling. Because these were all industrial buildings with high ceilings. So you have, and why did they have giant glass? Did you notice there's so much glass on these buildings? It was a bad thing to have all this glass because energy efficiency. But it's a great thing if you're making stuff so you can see what you're doing. But most buildings had very small windows back then. These have giant windows. So we're exiting this part of Soho behind us. And as we move forward, these are still cast iron. Even this is cast iron. It's everywhere.
Food be the
This,
medicine.
by the way, this is the only city in the world that didn't tear down its cast iron buildings.
That's good.
The only city in the world. Paris had hundreds of them. Cleveland had hundreds. I mean, all these cities had, old cities had lots of them. And they're all gone. No, we're just going to go straight across. And then we're going to stop at Mulberry Street. Mulberry. It's similar to Blecher Street. Bucher. By the way, if any of the people on this bus could say "ha," I'm leaving.
Huh?
I can say that.
I know you can. Gary and I did a tour the other day for this group. By the way, they sent me a picture. You want me to send it to
Really?
you? Yeah. Remember the picture we took with them? Because they were having a good time. Yeah. So how many? Yeah. Little Italy was this huge area down there. Had thousands of Italian people living until about 30, 40 years ago. How many Italians live in Little Italy today? Pretty close, 0. And it's all Chinatown now. But luckily, one street remains in the city in general.
No,
but not here.
talking about
Not
Italy.
here. Oh, in Italy. The point I'm trying to make is Italians lived in, so they shop every day. By the way, normally this street is way more crowded because it's raining. It's obviously less people out. But this is just one of hundreds of streets like this here. And all of Chinatown looks like this. It really, if you ever get a chance to go to China or maybe Ben, I don't know, or go to Hong Kong, it kind of looks like this. So you get a beautiful idea of what these places can look like and how crazy they are. I've hundreds of them all over. That's the street, Mott Street, that we're on right now. Straight ahead. Mott. M-O-T-T.
Man, on the video can't see.
Only 4 letters, so easy to remember. Move it. By the way, what you don't realize,
Boy,
You can't see
what
it.
you
but
don't
it's
realize
trying
is
to.
a lot of these buildings, the restaurants are not just on the main level. How high up over Chinatown we're going to get now. Everything in both directions here forever is Chinatown.
Oh, nice.
Massive. Really? Oh yeah. It is incredibly huge. And again, it's only one of 13 Chinatowns in New York City. You can see every size in China. This is the only place, by the way, you'll still see some graffiti. You notice you don't see it in New York anymore, almost anywhere. But these old buildings, people climb up on the roofs and
Who the heck's writing up here?
by the way,
I
you can
wouldn't
see
wanna climb
that
up
it is
there.
getting brighter
No.
from the south because this whole system is moving north. So you're looking south into the harbor. Look how high up we're going already. Well, by the way, please do not jump. And this is the East River, and we're crossing from the island of Manhattan to the island of Brooklyn. It's also on an island. You know what that bridge is? That's the bridge we're going to take back over very soon. That's the Brooklyn Bridge, the famous one. 1883. And you know what you're about to see in the haze out there? Look, carefully.
Statue of
That's the
Liberty?
bridge, the Statue of Liberty in the
Oh, my
haze.
video can't see her.
First time you're seeing it today. Oh, you saw it already. How'd you see it?
Gravity.
Oh, you came in that way?
Yeah, we came in
The Verrazano?
from New Jersey.
Oh, from New Jersey.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you can catch a glimpse for you.
Yeah.
There's the Manhattan Bridge going over to Brooklyn. I know it sounds confusing, but that's where we're coming into Brooklyn now. And Brooklyn
Damn, this makes me
makes
mad.
Manhattan look like a bus pimple. You have a bus pimple ever?
Yes.
Grass
You know?
on top of
I
that.
don't know what that is.
And there's grass and parks on a lot of these buildings.
That's cool.
My two sons live in
Like,
Brooklyn,
look at that.
and both of their buildings have green spaces on the roof. You want to wave to my son when we're coming into Brooklyn because he's working in today, my younger son.
Can we be extras on his movie?
You're gonna make a loop or a...
Don't make that look. Go straight to Tillery. Well, yeah, try not to hit that guy. So,
I'm trying to avoid the traffic.
yeah, see these two buildings coming up on the right? Time. This building we're passing, Federal Courthouse. You might remember he was known as the Teflon Don because every time he would go to trial for some horrible thing he did, he would get out, get free. The jury would never convict him. You know why? Because he had a great method. He would threaten every single juror's family with death. Now is go around this section of Brooklyn, which you're not going to see the interior right here on your left. Don't judge it by this. This is one of the
Right
oldest.
here?
Straight in the right lane, just go all the way down the hill to the waterfront.
Oh, yeah,
All the way. So if we went in these side streets, which
Here
again is going
in
to take a lot of
Manhattan.
time, you'd have hundreds of brownstones, beautiful, very old homes, but very wealthy section. Because this is a cliff looking out over the harbor, and people have been living here since the 1600s. So what happens? P.T. Barnum, remember the guy with the first Madison Square Garden? He opens it in 1879. 4 years later, this bridge opens. He's listening to all these people complaining about this new bridge, how they won't cross it. He had a circus. He takes 13 elephants, 13 camels, from where we just stopped in Flatiron, walks them down the island of Manhattan on his own, and takes them over this bridge in 1883. You know why? You morons. It's not falling down. That's why he did it. Some cobblestone streets. This is where it all happened. Because nobody ever lived here then. There was nobody here at the time. Now, you know what it costs to buy an apartment here with a view? 1 bedroom. Average. With one of those
$7,000 a month.
To buy. 3.9 million is your average price. By the way, this is the building my son's in here on the left right now. So again, wave one more time. Bye, Justin.
Fever.
Get over there over there. So that's what all my kids have. That's kind of cool. You get to see the whole Brooklyn Bridge coming onto it.
Can you see her?
By the way, the sun really is trying to
Want to
come out.
walk?
Yeah, let's stop and have them climb over the fence. That's a good idea. By the way, look how big this bridge is for 1883. 3 lanes on one side, 3 lanes on the other. Nobody built anything like this scale in the world at that time. You had little tiny bridges going everywhere. So why is the walkway from the bridge up there?
Who was the first thing to get across this bridge?
I know, Chaim Yankel.
I'm Mike.
Yeah, that was it. Now I told him about the elephant. This is all where Law and Order always gets shot. You always see them standing on the courthouse steps.
Yeah.
But you didn't realize there's 2 courthouses, so they don't have to worry in case they can't go to one. They go to the other. Do you know, I actually met all the original guys many times on Law and Order. Remember back in the days of Jerry Orbach was on for many years, the original 10 years of it or so. So I knew of them not because of my son, because they shot all over the city, and I had businesses all over the city at the time, and they would often park in one of the Brooklyn of New York. Remember that?
Yeah,
Remember they talk about the 5 points in Lower Manhattan where all those slums were? This is part of it. It originally was one of the points of the 5 points. This was all slums. 1850s, 1860s, 1870s. People killing each other like crazy all over here. And all of this got built because they wanted to get rid of the slums.
The reason they put it money is Homeland Security.
That sounds like
Homeland
Rocky.
Security is here, and the building to multiple entrances and exits. And this is all 1927. So Mr. Holland comes back to New York for the official opening day. The most incredible thing in the world, this new underwater automobile tunnel. Nowhere else in the world, right? Goes to a hotel in Midtown there where you were staying. He's fixing himself up. Drops dead of a heart attack. Never seen the tunnel.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Sadly. Although he was there for the building of it, of course. So we're staying.
Oh, by
You
Greenwich
want to see
Street?
where she lives?
Yes.
Let's stay in the right lane.
Greenwich Street?
No, stay in the right lane. Listen to what I'm saying, not what you're talking about.
Where she
Okay.
lives now?
Where she lives right now.
Yeah, she lives in
I
New
think
York.
this is Franklin here. Slow down, come to a stop. Stop. Yes, this is her street. Look, see that building with the green awning on the left? The one that
Green awning
angles
on the
down?
left.
That's her home.
Oh yeah, there's pictures of her coming in.
Yeah,
I've
you
seen
can look
pictures.
online and see it. She's got 2 floors in the building with a 40-foot ceiling.
Wow.
That's
And
cool.
it's a $20 million apartment.
Can we
You can
go
look
there
at
and
it
see if she
online.
comes out?
That's Franklin.
She is right
That's where she lives.
Ryan?
Taylor Swift. Remember the
Interesting.
girl you had earlier this year?
And my photo went blurry.
Where's De Niro live?
De Niro doesn't live here anymore. He moved up to the Upper West Side. Left is the
Yeah,
Odeon.
reminds me
And
of
it's a
that.
really good restaurant.
About nothing.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, you're right. That's also his. Chambers, we're gonna make a right, but take a look on the next corner. The Odeon Cafeteria is coming up on the left,
On the left.
and that is Robert De Niro, one of his number of restaurants that he owns. And that happens to be an excellent restaurant, by the way. This one, see what I said? It looks like a cafeteria. It's designed to look like that, but it's not really. And all these side streets and all the streets around you have all these big old industrial buildings with very high ceilings.
Yeah,
Robert De
restaurant.
Niro's
Very
restaurant.
big
Ooh,
apartments.
the Edwards.
Very expensive. You have to understand, all of this just 10 years ago was not like this. This was not anybody living here. It was all run down. Now, it may not look fancy. Not here, not here, not here. Oh, there's Chambers. I'm sorry. I thought you were almost
Who has that sclerosis? You or me?
Me, apparently I have myopia also.
Sounds like Sylvester Stallone.
This is New York banter. That's why Seinfeld was so successful, because this is how we talk to each other. Really, no, this is normal for New York. That was the great thing about the Seinfeld show, is that you got a taste of New York. It's just the opposite. People have wonderful feelings for everybody, but it's a different style of showing. So
Like Woody Allen movie, yeah?
exactly. So when we get to this next intersection, this is West Street, and we're going to turn left, and we're almost at Ground Zero. We're very close. Here's the thing. Remember we talked about how the World Trade Center had 7 towers? You're going to see how big they were because we're going to the property. Now stay in the right lane, please. Right
Is
lane.
this going to be on my left or my right?
What, the World Trade Center?
Yeah.
And we're going to get out, so you don't
Okay.
need to know. We're going to be standing on it. This, everything beyond this tree, this way. everything from here on. So what happened when they built the World Trade Center, and they knew late 60s, early 70s, they knew they were putting up 7 giant towers. Instead of digging 7 holes for the foundation, they dug 1 hole. 16 acres, 12 stories down to bedrock. Took all that dirt and dumped it in the Hudson River. That's what you're looking at. Do you know how much land they got out of that hole? 800 acres in the Hudson River. Nearly as big as Central Park itself. This is all, everything on the right, everything you're looking at was built on land that came out of that hole and put pilings in all of it down to bedrock so it would support all these buildings. 8 years to do that, just to even begin building in the river. And we're going to pull over now right in front. We're going to turn right here and get out because we're going to walk on this land just for a minute because we're not allowed to go on that side. On your left is ground zero. All those trees, that is ground zero, and we're walking right in there. Nothing can be built on ground zero. You know why? It's a cemetery. 2,793 people died right there, including my cousin and 2 friends. So that's where we're about to. Idea how big this thing was. You want to hear something really disturbing? And I'm going to. Your kids are old enough, I think, to handle this. This, where you're standing, was one of the 7 towers, not the twin towers, one of the other 5. This was a Marriott hotel. Where you're standing, this whole thing was a very tall hotel, one of the towers, and they kept telling everybody who were in the hotel that morning, don't leave the hotel. Check this down here, this room. You know what that is? That's known as the Sphere, and that used to be a big sculpture in the middle of the World Trade Center. And if you said, I'm meeting you at the World Trade Center, this place is so big, how do you find somebody? You always said, I'll meet you at the Sphere. They purposely put that sculpture, but it didn't look quite like that, into this complex back in 1973. You could find it. It was a meeting point. When the buildings came down, they crushed the hell out of it. You know what this shows you also? How big these buildings were. You know what this is? An acre per floor. How many buildings do you know anywhere in the world that have an acre per floor? How many floors? Right? He says, no, I want the names on here by research into how and where they died on 9/11. So every name you see here on this side of the building, as much as they could figure, died either in the building on this side or near the building on this side. And that's how they determined everybody's on these surrounds. So in other words, when you go to the North Tower floor, all the names are different, and all the names were who died in or near that tower. He makes a decision. He calls his wife just before cell phones went dead, because everything went dead. The entire New York City went dead. And he tells his wife, I'm getting out because I'm below where the plane hit. If you were below where a plane hit in either of these buildings, you had a chance of living, and a good one, if you could circle all the way down the stairs to this roof and run. Because no one knew the buildings were coming down. They just thought they were on fire. So apparently he did get out. So because he had gotten that phone call, his wife, that morning, she wound up contacting the rest of the family, including us, and saying, great news, he's getting out. Andrew is his name. And we were wonderful, because we thought he was dead, possibly. The next morning, everybody, by the way, had to walk home from here. I don't care if you live 5 miles away, 2 miles away, 20 miles away. He's about 18 miles from here. 18 miles, you can walk it in, I don't know, maybe a few hours. Never shows up the next morning. And then we knew that obviously something terrible had to have happened. And his cell phone was dead by this time. And nothing, you couldn't call anybody on a cell phone. The whole system was down. So it took about 9 months to figure out what had happened to him. And it was confirmed after about 9 months that other firemen had seen him go back into the when he was out here, like where we are right now, because he was a volunteer fireman at home. And he thought he could help. And they were other firemen who were in this building who survived remembered seeing him go back in. Because they thought it was unusual because he didn't have any equipment or uniform or anything. Anyway, long story short, it took 9 years after that to find him. And this is what you were asking about before. They took all this material to Staten Island and spread it out by size. Big size to smaller size, 17 years ago, almost. That's what they're still looking at today. Now they're at microscopic pieces. They literally went in size order. When they hit about 9.5 years, the pieces were pretty small already, and they found him by finding thousands of pieces of human bone everywhere here, tiny pieces. And we believe it's this bone here, this little bone and the pinky finger in the middle one is what they believe they found. They didn't know it was him until they did a DNA test, and that turned out to be him. Because the family left the DNA sample, of course. So we took that little piece of bone and buried it on Long Island near where he lived, and they named the street right there after him. They did that a lot all over the city and all over Long Island and everything. So that's what he did. That's what. How about the room itself? That's the fact. So many tour guides will tell you that it's tears. It represents tears, which is nothing wrong with that. And other tour guides will tell you that every one of the lines of water represent one person, and that's maybe true, maybe not true. But the real reason they don't talk about it because it's sort of politically incorrect. What do I mean? Because when you go to a place like this and you start to think about it, I can see you getting more serious, which you should be, when you start thinking about how many people died here and how horribly they died in the building, out of the building, jumping off the buildings, all of that. They're dying everywhere here, all around where you're standing right now. It gets pretty depressing, right? You said you're church-going people? What does water represent in the Bible and church everywhere? No.
Renewal life.
Exactly. Life renewal, cleansing, healing. He wanted you to have a moment of healing and cleansing, so he added one little feature that no one ever noticed it. You want to see it? Yeah. Talk about holy water. See what I'm saying? So this is a great idea. 5,000 architects, one guy won. The contest. It was literally a contest. So you see these trees all around you?
Yeah.
You notice something unusual about these trees? The architect said, I want you to plant 440 of these. What are these? They're swamp oaks. You know what's unique about swamp oaks? They grow like pins. Perfectly straight. Every one of them virtually identical in height. Some are a little taller, shorter. They're all planted as saplings 7 or 8 years ago. Why 440? There were 440 trees on this roof originally, all destroyed. So he says, let's plant 440 new trees, but not the original tree. Why would he pick a tree that grows like a stick?
Like a tower.
No, because he wants you to notice the one tree that doesn't look at all like that one. You know about this tree? About that bush? Keeps burning and burning and it doesn't get destroyed. Going into all the details, this roof collapses. The buildings are in here. They're everywhere. This is on fire for 5.5 weeks. You know how hot it was the first 2 weeks in here? It was 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the melting point of steel. Almost all the steel in this hole melted into liquid. It was that hot. You with me? Hang in there for a minute.
Yeah, I am.
So what happened? They can't get in there. Survive or anything could survive. So it's now like the second week in October, and they finally just a little more water for the area. Oh, that was me. That was not her. It slipped down my hand. Whenever I talk about this, I get a little shaky because I can't look at the tree too upset. And it's also not upset. It's hard to explain. That's why I always face this way. Why am I telling you this whole thing? They get into this hole, the bathtub they called it, this giant 16-acre hole, about the second week in October, and of course instantly realize there's nothing to survive with that heat and weight, millions of tons of debris on everything, and you can imagine. So they're digging, they have to take the stuff out. Another 2.5 weeks passed, October 30th, 2001, about 7.5 weeks after 9/11. You know what they find in this hole alive?
Tree.
It's alive. So, hang on a second. So, horizontally, it's about 12 or 15 feet long. You know how they know it's alive instantly? It's got green leaves coming out of everywhere. It doesn't have any branches left on it, pretty much. It's just alive. So
Yeah,
what
I read
happens
about
next?
that.
So a guy in the Bronx. See, in New York, we're still very much involved at this point in 9/11 because so many people died here. Everybody knew somebody who died here. This is on TV every day, and everybody sees this tree coming out of the ground, and they're freaking out because, like, we were sure that nothing could have survived this, right? A guy in the Bronx who owns his own botanical gardens, a private guy, botanical garden, small one. He sees all of this either on TV, hears it on the radio, sees it in the newspaper. He gets in contact with the guy who's digging here, and he says, "You give me this tree, and I guarantee you, my life, I'm going to keep it alive for however long it takes, because we don't know what's ever going to be here." If anything, at that point, they didn't know what was ever going to be in this spot. Whatever's going to be here is getting this tree coming back, and it's going to be alive. He kept his word. 8 years later, it looks like this. The same tree. It gets even crazier. You think that's it? That's not it. While this tree is in his possession, the New York City Parks Department keeps visiting it, just because they don't know who this guy is, but he's got the tree. And this is the survivor tree. This is a big deal in New York. They want to make sure he's doing the right thing, which he was. They discovered a marking or a tag or something that gave away to them, the Parks Department, where the tree had been planted originally in 1969, 1970, 71, when this was all being built the first time. Turns out they had a map where this tree went in. It went in right where we crossed to come here, right on the edge of that street. Why is this important? You know where they found it on October 30th? Way on the other side of the property. Really, literally the other side of the property. This is second and fourth. When these buildings came down, they carried that tree from that side under this, in the fire and everything that was in here, to there. And then they found it. It's even more insane than you think it is. Is this all sinking in now? But I used to think that all that miracle stuff was all bull. I'm not so sure I think that anymore. There's a lot of things that happen that I don't have time to tell you about that are similar in many ways. So this tree gets planted here with the saplings about 8 years ago. And right before that, Hurricane Irene came through town and blew down every single tree here, including this one. And guess what?
Still going on.
They put it back in the ground. It's a Bradford pear, which does not grow fruit. It's the weakest tree of all trees in the world. Everybody knows it, and they rarely I don't know if you see it better, but you can see it. The falling tower. You realize how big an area this whole thing is? Told you, jaw dropping.
What is all those cameras?
Oh, those lights are for light shows they have during Christmas and all the holidays. They're motorized and do all kinds of stuff.
They look like little robots.
They are all programmed. So this is the Oculus. The other side, we're looking at it sticking out, and there's nothing holding it underneath. What you're on this side too, it's the same thing. There's no columns under there. It's built to jut out like a spaceship. What time did I originally plan to?
Yeah.
And I wanted to. I know you want to know else. Yeah, I think it's worth it. When we come out on the other side, he's going to be there if he hasn't killed himself. Widest point of this island, east and west, the widest is 2 miles. Most of it is about 1.5 miles, and then in terms of width. And then when you get all the way to the northern top, it's less than 1/2 mile wide. How about this? Notice the parts of Manhattan you've been all day today. The lower third, I would say, we've been in, it's as flat as a board pretty much, right? It's from Kansas, right? Or maybe Midland, Texas. But what am I getting at? When you go all the way north on this island, see that building with the clock tower?
Uh-huh.
That's the way they used to build post offices back in the day in New York. Can you imagine? That's a post office. Was.
Still today?
No. It was converted about 30 years ago into a library. So once a year, only in October, I don't know why, they let you go up to the tower for 1 day. You know how often I've been able to get up there? Never. Been there since 1830. There are some things that could be good at, like meat can be dry aged that well, maybe. So this is still the village. And by the way, right around the corner here, I think this street is an incredibly terrific Italian restaurant with Pricey. That's also owned by Mario Batali, which is mind-boggling. It's called Babbo. Near as old as the other one, like Bigelow's. This is an old part of the city, not as old as if you went down the streets to the left, but it's all 1800s, early 1800s, most of the buildings, not this, but some, you can tell the difference. As we move north, it's going to keep getting younger and younger and younger. But by the time you get to where your hotel is, a lot of the buildings are 50 years old, 70 years old. That's young for a city like New York. So we're passing 14th Street, see how the numbers keep climbing? Next one, 15, 16, so on. Now, here's something that you didn't ask me. Notice that if you're going to the left or the right, that the blocks are very long. Like we made a right turn and went all the way down. The next corner is way down there, right? But when you're going north and south, look how short the blocks are.
Yeah.
You know why that is? That was on purpose. The same guy who designed this city in 1811, he wanted these blocks to be short. You know why? He believed in, again, something called capitalism. More corners for more retail, not one of those fast ones. Because you're going to have to take what they call a local train, which stops at every single stop. So you're not going to experience the fast one. What's going to happen is you're going to be on your train, and those trains are going to be passing.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't go to South Ferry, so you can't go.
I think that Caroline plays out
My
too.
point is, we
there's
have
Best
the
Buy.
only system in the world of subways that's called the 4-track system. What does that mean? Express.
At 6th Avenue and West
America's.
Street.
It's a system that whether you go
See the brown
uptown or
sign?
Yeah.
downtown, you have 2 different sets of trains going uptown, 2 different sets of trains going downtown. On every single line, the middle tracks are the express trains. They skip a lot of stations. The speed. It's hard to explain. Take a good look at all these stores, and you maybe get an idea of what's here. You know what's here? I have no idea. What do I mean? It's a crazy area. got all these crazy stores, little ones, owned by private people that sell every kind of everything you can think of. Jewelry, pots and pans, all kinds of costume jewelry, hats, underwear, you name it, it's everything. Flowers, I mean, and all, you should walk around these streets.
It's not retail, right?
It is retail. I mean,
Yeah.
they sell wholesale and
Wholesale.
retail. But you look up at Macy's as it goes around the house. Here we go. Look at Macy's.
Oh, wow.
See how it goes around the house?
Uh-huh.
This little tiny two-story house they wouldn't sell. The same family still owns it. And they have to put their sign, Macy's sign, on that store, on top of the roof of the house. So many people are here from everywhere, never notice it. I love pointing it out. It's so different. And these are things that can only pretty much happen here.
There's that one movie that made great like
Oh, yeah.
Are they good hot dogs?
They are very good. That's a place you should consider going to, because the best one is absolutely he's on the lawn, and a great place to hang out, eat something outdoors. Really, really nice place. Behind it is one of the largest libraries in the world. That's the one with the lions in front. I've seen it in all the movies.
Yeah.
They've done 1 million movies in front of that library. So your hotel is dead ahead. We're almost there.
So if we're taking, I mean, would you recommend like Lyft or Uber or taxi or
Uber, taxi, yes, but 4 people sometimes can be an issue because some of the smaller cabs, it's not comfortable with 4 people. And sometimes these cab drivers don't want to let somebody sit in the front seat.
Right.
So you have 3 seats and you have 4 people, sometimes it can be a problem. Uber driver.